Hey, this is Evan Mark Katz, dating and relationship coach for smart, strong, successful women. Welcome back to the Love You podcast, a place where you can learn everything that there is to know about dating, relationships, sex, and men from a man's point of view. Today, I have a really juicy topic. I sometimes wing it. I got a lot of notes today, so if I do a little more reading, forgive me. I was kind of on a roll when I was prepping for today's podcast. I'm also in good spirits. Not that you need to know that I'm in good spirits, but I am in good spirits. Spring has sprung here in Southern California, so last week we had an 85-degree day and headed on down to the beach and making plans for spring break. And yeah, there's just lots of good stuff going on. So I hope some of my positive energy filters on down to you. If you're a regular listener, make sure you subscribe on Apple, Spotify. Leave us a positive review. Maybe I'm going to start reading those reviews. Maybe that'll incentivize you to do it if I read your reviews back to you. But we've gotten a few in the past few weeks that make my heart sing, so keep those positive reviews coming. And tell a friend if you enjoy the Love You podcast. Sharing is caring. I'm very excited, before we dive into today's topic, to announce a new endeavor, something new that I am doing for the first time that I've been kind of noodling around with for the past couple months. It is called the Extraordinary Love Series. Because you are extraordinary and lasting love is extraordinary, we are calling it the Extraordinary Love Series. Each month I'm going to be doing a Zoom call. The way I talk to you here, I'm going to be talking to you from this office on a very specific topic with a live Q&A every single month. And this is very specifically for smart, successful women, high-achieving women who want to attract high-value men. This month's topic, a little on the nose, but it seems like a good place to lead off: why smart, successful women struggle in love and how to change that. As I said, if you register, there'll be a live Q&A afterwards, and if you can't make it on time, you can listen to the replay. I'm super excited for it. Go to www.extraordinaryloveseries.com. It's long, but you could spell it. You got this. Extraordinaryloveseries.com. Give us your name, email address, and phone number, and I will see you on that call in a couple weeks. Now let's begin. So there is the very, very common complaint that there are no quality men. There are no quality men online. There are no quality men in my city. There are no quality men my age. There are no quality men who are looking to date women my age. Listen, I'm not going to mansplain your experience to you. Like, I do get how it can feel that way. And I'm not on a dating app, and I can't exactly walk a mile in your shoes as a guy who's been married for 17 years. So I know there's no value in arguing with your experience or your feelings. I also know that when I tell you to open up, and I say open up and mean open up the way I opened up and found love, you hear me telling you to settle. And it couldn't be further for the truth, but I can't help what you hear. So today we're going to sort of negotiate our way through that, and maybe you can understand my point of view better, because I very much understand your point of view. Now, you know my story. I was looking for a smart, strong, successful woman. I was trying to date the most impressive specimen because that's what I thought I was worth. And if she was a Top Chef Supermodel Rhodes Scholar, then all the better. That's what I deserve. I did not go this long to just settle on any random person. I thought I had to go to New York to go on a wife hunt because there were no quality women in LA. Oh my God, how narcissistic of me to think that I used up all the quality women in LA. But that was my way of thinking back in my early 30s when I started to do this job. And in the act of dating and in the act of coaching people, I sort of realized I was not following the advice that I was giving. I was kind of a hypocrite. And I started to open up and try different things on for size. And sure enough, the person I ended up marrying looked nothing like the picture of the person that I was trying to date online, which was generally the female version of me, right? I'm East Coast Jewish, liberal, pseudo-intellectual, sort of Ivy League-ish kind of guy. And of course, that's what I was looking for. My wife doesn't is none of those things, and I'm about the happiest married guy you'll know. And I could assure you I didn't settle. So my belief is if I could do it, then you can do it. And when you date this way that I'm about to describe to you, it really does increase your options, and which is why we're leading with why you should swipe right on more men. So consider how much you can increase your dating pool. Remember, I don't have a gun to your head. I'm not making you do anything. I have no power over you. So consider how much you increase your dating pool just by screening in. If you go from 6 feet tall to 5'9", if you change your cutoff and lower it to 5'9", then half of the population is over 5'9". Only 14% of the population is over 6 feet tall. And 5'9" is average. I'm a 5'9" guy. I'm not advocating for guys like me. I'm only pointing out that my height has very little to do with whether I'm a good husband. And so if you are a 5'3" or 5'4" woman, you might still be attracted to 6 foot tall guys, but you could also go out with a 5'7" guy and he'll still be the same height as you in heels, and life will go on because the percentage of your time that you're wearing heels is relatively minimal. And even so, it's not that important. And these are people who are quite literally overlooked. So you can double, triple, quintuple your dating pool just by changing the height function. And we could do this on down the line, raising your max age range from 5 years older than you to 9 years older than you or 10 years older than you. Does the exact same thing. Opening up to different religions. I've had this conversation with a few clients in the past couple days. These are women who are Christian who, in talking to me, realized maybe I've raised my kids. I have my faith. I go to church. I don't need him to necessarily agree with everything. And again, there are anecdotes behind all this, not just data. There's anecdotes behind all of this. So just opening up to different religions, right, can double, triple, quintuple your dating pool. It certainly did for me. So this is a pervasive thing, especially when we're dating on dating apps, where all we have is very limited information. And what are we looking for? We're looking for something in common. The problem is the things that we have in common really don't say much about his ability to do housework and child rearing, or his ability to be sensitive to your emotional cues, or his ability to listen to you after a hard day, or validate your feelings even if he doesn't agree with them. Like, these are just common interests that get us started. And I've had clients who have passed up on guys because of their interests. Like, they don't have the same interests from their profile, or their interests are too different. And it just seems to be very, very short-sighted, even though I can understand why it's lovely to share interests. So there was a woman years ago who I worked with who passed up some guy because he said he liked he checked off a box on Match.com that said aviation, and she doesn't like flying, so she's like, I can't write to this guy. Like that. I mean, it's laughable to me, but for her, this is really deadly seriously. I don't like flying. If this guy likes aviation, I was like, well, why can't he go fly his planes and you could not join him when he flies his planes? Like, why is that not okay? As I always say, there's not a guy out there who says you need to be into fantasy football to be with me. It's a passion of mine. It is mine, Evan. It's a passion of mine. It wouldn't occur to me that I need to share that with my wife just because it's important to me. So just this week, I had a woman who, and we're talking about the religious aspect of it, and for her, faith is really at the center of her being. And we have to logic our way through this, because if faith is at the center of your being, then it's really, really hard. I'm not trying to talk her out of her faith. I'm not trying to talk her out of her church going or her deep-seated beliefs or her morality. I am gently pointing out that there are plenty of people who share the same faith that she is, including the man that she married who was terrible to her, that aren't necessarily great people. And her interactions with me were, hey, my dating coach makes me feel seen and validated and good and attractive. And like, why couldn't there be another guy who hypothetically is a Jewish atheist who could do the same thing? And so on down the line. I love the story of my mother-in-law, who married a guy who was just like her, Republican, Catholic, military San Diego God family country people. And that was my wife's upbringing until she was 13. And then her parents got divorced. Her dad is not particularly a great guy, in my opinion. And she got remarried a few years later to a guy who was completely different than her first husband. And this guy in like the 70s was like a pot-smoking, mustache-wearing hippie who plays guitar, and he's really sweet and introverted. And he's not a believer, but he comes with her to church for Easter and Christmas, and he is fine with her going to church every single Sunday, as she's done for 78 years. And there's no real problem in the relationship. Why? Because he dotes on her. He takes care of her. He loves her unconditionally. He's her best friend. And so we let these things divide us. The only use case where this might matter is if you're insisting that your partner raise your as of yet unborn children in your faith. So this is a very specific use case potentially for people in their 30s. At the same time, my wife was in her 30s when she met me, and she wouldn't have necessarily been open if she just looked at me on Match.com. But she decided after being with me that I was not the kind of guy who was trying to convert her to Judaism. And I was doing a sort of Jew-light version of my religion, and she was comfortable with that. And that's how we're raising our kids. And so I think you just kind of never know. But when we're online, we don't want to give people a chance. So we narrow and narrow and narrow our funnel, and then we complain that nothing's actually happening. I just think we don't need more things to divide us. We need to make more human connection. And I do know that if you talk to someone at a party and you have a great conversation, he's not wearing all of his data on his sleeve, right? He gets up from the table and you realize he's only 5'8", but you had an amazing conversation where there's chemistry. It might cause you to think twice, but you're going to go with the strength of that conversation. And that sort of goes on down the line for all the things you can't tell about someone when you meet them in person. The problem is we're going off of these external traits, which are similarities, but aren't particularly telling about what kind of partner he is. And so I think the most important part, the thing I really want you to take away from this podcast, is that screening in does not lead to settling, because you have choices afterwards, right? Like when I say, hey, go online and open up to 5'9" guys. Look at guys who are agnostic if you're a Christian. Like, just look. Right? At any point in time in texting, on that phone call, FaceTime, on the first date, on the second date, on the third date, after month 1, after month 3, after month 6, at any point in time, if the thing that I said you should give him a free pass on bothers you to the point that you're willing to throw him out and start all over, then you can. So the idea that by looking at people, you're somehow going to be consigned to, oh my God, 10 years ago I listened to this podcast and this dude told me to open up to guys. I really assure you, no woman has ever broken up with a man after 10 years because she suddenly realized he was 5'8" and she prefers 5'10". That's never the cause of a divorce. So I think that there's a tendency for people to be so afraid of settling that they end up boxing themselves in, right? At the beginning of dating, what we call screening in is saying yes to guys who are like a 6 based on their photo and their profile, right? It's not checking off the boxes. Is he a 6? Is there a reason to believe that there's a chance that if I talk to this guy, I could hit it off? So we screen in at the beginning, but you're not signing on for life. It's more like you're trying a food. I've mentioned this with my son before, the boy who eats brown foods, right? Rice and chicken nuggets and fries, and he doesn't like to try different things. I'm like, man, if you take a bite of it, you might like it, right? And you might want to have more. And you might order it again, or you might not. And it's okay. If you spit it out, then that's okay. But you've tried it. You could actually evaluate it for what it is, instead of assuming based on its appearance that you're definitely not going to like that. And I know the voice is, but Evan, I'm busy. I don't want to waste my time. Why should I waste time on a 5'8" guy? Why should I waste time on a guy who's a different religion? And the answer is because you're telling me there's no one to date. And this is why there's no one to date, is because we all have this belief that we have to date someone who is just like us, right? The opposite sex version of us. That's what we're familiar with. That's what we're attracted to, right? But he has to be better. And so we're setting ourselves up for failure. I mean, we all do it. I'm a coach for women, so I'm talking to you, but I would say the exact same thing if I were talking to men. So please understand that trying on men is more like trying a food, and that it's not going to hurt you. And if you don't like the food, you're not consigned to eat it for the rest of your life just because some dating coach from the internet told you to. I started to try different foods when after 300 dates, I was still single and I was giving advice. And I was really delighted that I tried something that I liked and that I wanted to have every day for the rest of my life. And I suspect that if you open up to a piece of what I'm saying here today, you will be too. My name is Evan Markatz. This is the Love You Podcast. As I said at the top of the call, before you go, I am excited to announce the beginning of my Extraordinary Love Series. Go to extraordinaryloveseries.com to register. This month's topic is why smart, successful women struggle in love and how to change that. After that free presentation, I'm going to be doing a live Q&A for people who submit questions in advance. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. I'm expecting a few hundred people, and so a really wonderful place to start and get some coaching in a different way than you can when you're listening to this podcast. If you are a regular listener and you are saying, I don't just want free coaching on a call with 200 women, I actually want to talk to you so we could go through this with me, how I choose men, how I date men, how I show up on the first date, how I deal with sex and dating multiple men and fixing my broken man picker and listening to my feelings. I want to talk to you. Well, good. I want to talk to you too. Go to evanmarkatz.com/now to book a time on my calendar, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. I love you. I appreciate you. I thank you for listening to the podcast, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.